YouTube, what's going on with y'all, man? Today I'm gonna get into how to make dark Chicago beats for people like LIL DURK, King Von, Bolo G. So let's get right into it, man. Alright, so I got FL opened up. This is an old beat I made. I made this in October, but it's one of my favorite beats I made last year, so I really wanted to deconstruct this beat in a tutorial. Alright, so when I'm making beats for this type of artist, you of course want a faster BPM. So I set my BPM to 160 right here, and I'm in C minor. Alright, so since I already laid down the beat, I'm gonna start deconstructing the melody first, and after that get into how I laid down the drums. Alright, so for the main melody right here, I went into expand, and I got the Heavenly Bell pad. I believe it's the second preset in expand right here. And as you can see, the melody I laid down is fairly simple. And like always, I made sure to use the half steps in the key. So this G sharp right here goes to G, and then back to G sharp, and it just repeats itself over and over again. And that's probably the biggest tip I can give y'all when laying down dark melodies is to make sure you use those half steps in the scale. So this G sharp to G, like I said, and this D sharp to D. When we're working in C minor, of course. And notes like these create a lot of tension since you're right next to each other in the scale. So yeah, this is what the main melody sounds like. And in beats like these, you of course want the melodies to be very repetitive. That's what you hear a lot. So I made sure to go for a little repetitive melody right here. So we'll start out on the root note right here. Basically just copy that over 7 more times. Next I made sure to add those half steps like I told you before. And on every bar I just alternated them a little bit, once again to make it a little bit more repetitive. Next I pitched the C up an octave, and I delayed the first note a little bit to kind of create a rhythm. And lastly I added this G up top to kind of add some high frequencies to it. And after I had that laid down, I rendered that out into an audio clip right here. And you can do that by selecting this recording knob on the mixer track and doing Alt or Option R right here. So after I rendered that out, what I did is I pitched it down a whole octave. So now the main melody sounds like this. Alright, so for the effects on that, start out with the EQ, just kind of clearing up the signal a little bit. So what I did is I cut the sub lows out right here. Next I lowered some of the high mids and really made those mids stand out to give it that dark feel, if that makes sense. Next, to make it sound more vintage, open up RC20, got the final 3 preset, and I also messed with the EQ a little bit to once again make the mid frequency stand out a little bit more. And lastly, to add some space and some ambience to it, I put some Valhalla Vintage Verb on it with these settings right here. So next to add on to that melody, I went to Nexus and I got the stock preset right here, the Nexus Grand Piano. And what I did is I laid down the root notes right here. So you got the C right here and then the C right here. And next, to make it sound a little bit less repetitive, I made sure to use these half steps again. So I put a D and a D sharp right here that basically go up and then back to the C right here. So basically I laid this down right here, then I copied that over, duplicated it and pitched it down an octave to make it sound a little bit more full instead of having just one note off the piano. So for the effects on the piano, once again start out with the EQ, cutting some of the sub lows out, lowering some of the mids, and boosting the highs a lot. And the reason why I boosted these high frequencies so much is to kind of balance it out with the main melody we laid down before. So the piano got a lot of high into it, and the main melody right here, we boosted the mids a little bit, so it really like complements each other. And after the EQ, once again put some Valhalla Vintage Verb on it, the same preset we added to the main melody to once again blend it in with the main melody even more. Alright, so with those two melodies together, it now sounds like this. Alright, so now for the craziest part of this sample, got this melody right here, also from Expand. I got the Give Me an E preset. It's a heart lead, number 23. And once again laid down a very repetitive melody. So basically got this melody right here, which consists of the root note, then these 2 half steps right next to each other, the D and the D sharp. After that it goes up to a G sharp, then down to G, but once again make sure to use those half steps, then back up to G sharp, and then it ends out on C, which is an octave higher compared to the note we started on. And next I basically just copied that over 3 more times. So by default that sounds like this. And I mean, that sounded cool already, but I decided to render it out so we can get rid of this. And now we got the audio clip right here of that melody we laid down. So with this audio clip, what I did is I put the mode on stretch. So now you can basically stretch the melody. So instead of it sounding like this, like before, I decided to, instead of 4 bars, stretch it to 1 bar. So now it sounds like this. And now we're starting to get somewhere, man. So what I did is I basically copy pasted that over to fill up the 8 bars. And then I rendered that out again. So that's the melody you see right here. And I basically could have left it like that. But I decided to click the reverse button right here. So now it basically reverses and it's like this. So what I did is I duplicated it into a new audio clip right here. Next, I alternated the original melody with the reverse melody. So I cut it up after every bar like that. So like I said, then I basically alternated these melodies. So I started out with the reverse melody that kind of fades into the original melody. Then I just copied that over 3 more times. So with the main melody, the piano, and this rendered out once again, it now sounds like this. That sounds crazy as fuck, man. So for the effects on that ARP, once again use the EQ to kind of clear it up a little bit. Next I put some reverb on it and a shaper box to pan it out from left to right to add even more space to it. So after that, I wanted to add one more melody to it. So yeah, I went to Electro right here and I got this preset and I basically just copied over the main melody and copied it straight over into the Electro X right here. So I basically took some of these top notes out and I also added these root notes to it. So that melody by itself sounds like this. So like I said, it's just a perfect pad to add onto the main melody and the piano. So for the effects on that, start out with the EQ once again to kind of clear up the signal a little bit, boost some of the highs and cut the lows out right here. And next I blended in with the other melodies once again, put the same Vol of Vintage Verb preset on it, but I turned the mix up to 71%. Alright, so for the last melodic element right here, I went into my drum kit and I got the tubular bell and I basically just laid one note down, the root note C right here. It sounds like this. To make it sound less dry, put a delay on it with these settings right here. Next, put a fruity reverb on it to kind of space it out a little bit, and then end it out with an EQ to cut some of the harsh frequencies out. And that's pretty much it for the melody, man. So let's get right into the drums. And these drums, man, I'm gonna get right into it, man. I started out with a basic 2-step hi-hat and a snare, all from my drum kit, which sound like this. And I mean, these already get the bounce going, man. So like I said, start out with the 2-step. Basically kept the first 2 bars fairly simple. Just add this little note at the bottom to add some low frequencies to the hi-hats. Then at the end of the second bar right here, add this little roll, which I also added at the end of the third bar. But I took the last note out of this roll to add some more bounce to it. Then for the fourth bar, added the same roll right here and a note to end it out. Next, I basically copied that straight over for the last 4 bars. But the only thing I did is I added this little roll at the bottom. So instead of there being one note, I added a roll to it to kind of switch it up from the first part of the hi-hats. Alright, so next for the 808, man. Once again, 808 from my drum kit. Start out by following the root notes. I'ma just play it, man. Alright, so like I said, start on the root note and kind of lay down this rhythm right here. But as you can see, I left a lot of space between the notes to kind of create even more tension and more bounce into the drums. So after that, just by following the root notes, laid these 2 notes down, this D and this D sharp right here. And next, I just kept it simple, man. Just copied that straight over. But the only thing I added is this little slide note right here, which goes from D sharp back to the root note to C right here. And that's very subtle, but what that does is it makes it transition nicely into this C right here at the start. Alright, so after that, added some percussion to it from my drum kit once again. I used the Neza perk right here and the no auto perk right here. That's what that sounds like. And that adds even more bounce to the drums, man. So after that, I got this open hat from my drum kit once again, and I basically put it on the beginning of every 4 bars to kind of make that 808 hit a little bit harder. So that's what that sounds like. Like I said, it's fairly simple, man. The drums are pretty repetitive and very minimalistic, as well as the melody, man. Alright, so then lastly, to add some ear candy to it, I went into my unreleased drum kit, which I'm working on. It's not finished yet, but I'm working on it. And I got this cowbell right here. And like I said, it's just some ear candy because I only added it once in the whole 8 bars. That sounds like this. And I mean, it's very subtle. Like, you wouldn't notice it at first, but if you know it's there, you'll hear it. I don't know, it's just that little like accent that just completes the drums. That's hard as fuck, man. Alright, so lastly, went into my drum kit again, got this riser, and this basically glues the whole beat together, man. It makes it drop even harder. Like I said, man, it's probably one of my favorite beats that I've ever made. Alright, so that's how you make dark Chicago beats, man. So I want to thank y'all for watching. Like always, man, make sure to let me know in the comments what y'all trying to see next on the channel. Also, if you like the drum samples that I used in this video, make sure to check out my drum kit. I'll have it linked down in the first link in the description down below. Also want to thank y'all for 7K. Really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me today, man. So y'all stay safe.